I grew up in a home where my parents really, they taught the gospel, and we even went to a church where the gospel was taught. But when we look at the environment of what our household looked like, everything was kind of valued based on your moral behavior or what you could do from other people. And so that in a lot of ways kind of flavored my life. As I grew up, I looked at my dating relationships, or in sports, or in grades, or even in my moral behavior, anything I could really do to try to create that image or create that identity that my worth was based on what I was to other people. I just really realized that I couldn't do anything that could really earn my way up. I just look at, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, and I thought I could find my identity and my value in, and I realized that he died for those things, and God said that he loved me and that he cared for me and that he would be constant when everything else wasn't constant.
I grew up in a broken home. My parents divorced when I was 7. My relationship with my mom was really unhealthy, where there was a lot of just emotional and physical abuse. But with all that, I was still longing and wanting that approval, wanting that affection from her. And so what was placed before me to strive for really was, okay, you do well in school and you excel in sports. And so immediately this performance-based lifestyle just took over my life. So my mom had remarried at this point, and my stepdad was, basically the man who had raised me for most of my life. And going into my senior year, he had actually committed suicide. I didn't grieve well, and it created even more tension between my mother and I because we were just grieving differently. But seeing how God used that as a catalyst for me to start really questioning things, asking God, why would this happen? I don't understand. Just really wrestling with those thoughts. But going into college, right after that, just continued pursuing the same things. And I was at Wake Forest University playing soccer my freshman year, and then ended up transferring to the College of Charleston my sophomore year, where God introduced me to one of my teammates, Jackie. She had a heart to share her faith with her teammates, and I happened to be one of them. Over the course of that time, she had just continued investing in me and building a relationship with me, even when I wasn't interested, and she was still sharing her heart with me, sharing Christ with me. Through all that, I ended up going on a winter retreat with Campus Outreach, where I heard of a talk given, knowing of God versus knowing God, and it never hit me that you could have a personal relationship with God. And so I was like, I want that. And I remember talking to Jackie about that after the talk, and she was like, well, what's stopping you? And I think by God's grace, I was able to say nothing. I want to surrender, everything to Him, and find my identity in Him. And there was just so much peace there. And I think over time, seeing how He not only changed my heart, but then began to change my desires to fall more in line with Him was just, it was cool to see how He writes stories of redemption. Yeah. Something else that God has been showing me lately has just been just another facet of my identity that I hadn't really, just dug into until recently, is just being a Filipino woman. I honestly could say that I wouldn't have identified as a minority until a few years ago. I think just seeing the intentionality and how God has made me, and then how I can first and foremost reconcile that to my identity in Christ. So knowing that I'm a Christian first, but then using that and leveraging that for His glory, just seeing God work and how He has used my own story in that way to have conversations in spaces where I'm able to share God's heart for diversity. And that's just been a really unique and cool opportunity.
God doesn't need us to move His kingdom forward. He's sovereign. He already had the plan from the beginning, and then He's gonna do it. But in the midst of that, we get the joy to walk alongside of Him.